of small things. One person this way, it disappears. Because I remember when I was in West Africa, we used to do monitoring, and once in a while they'll report there is a positive case. We thought this was going to remain so. However, from what we have seen clearly, we have a big problem on our hands. A very, very big problem on our hands. So, Right Honorable, we brought together these people. We partnered Science, Technology and Innovation on behalf of government, partnered with this consortium because of the urgency and because of the magnitude of the problem. As it has already been mentioned, in our region, we have tended to look at problems. We recognize the problems, we alert and we shout because we want other people to come and help us. However, it seems to me that since COVID, the ecosystem has changed. And we Africans must take responsibility now, because nobody rushes anymore because there is an epidemic. And even when they come, they are looking behind. Is there something happening at home? Because epidemics are threatening the world everywhere. Right Honorable, what we see is an effect or a result of the damage and the scare and the shock that COVID gave us. Before that, we were really complacent as a nation. But during COVID, we found ourselves very helpless. Surprisingly, during COVID is when we started to mobilize ourselves as scientists and say, no, why do we sit here until we die? Let's do something. And we want to thank the government of Uganda, His Excellency the President, the Minister of Finance. They have been providing funds, and the funds that helped us to begin to gain the courage to start to do some of this research. Because in epidemics, usually we have different pillars, and there are pillars which are funded. Sometimes outbreak, the epidemiology, people going out to the field, case finding. It's easy, WHO, to find some money here and there, UNICEF. We have case management. But when it comes to the issue of research, to actually identify what are the problems that are making these things come here. Because this MPOX has been talked about in DRC for a long time. We shouldn't have reached where we have reached. The issue to define the actual problem, find solutions. I've been in epidemics for a long time, but that is usually an unfunded priority in every outbreak. Even if you get funding, it will come so much later that your findings are not going to impact on the outbreak. Therefore, I want to thank the organizers for mobilizing the community of Africa. Mobilizing ourselves for our guests here, we say, let us do something good for the nation among ourselves. And when we bring together these scientists, because the biggest input in research and generation of knowledge is the human being. So when these people come together, we begin to think, and that's what I challenged them, not only during the opening, but during the organization. I said, let's come together, not just to hear speeches. Let's come together to think and come up with practical solutions so that we begin to address this issue. I mean, it's totally unacceptable that human beings can be like that. And I'm sure most of those cases have become complicated because it took long to find them, it took long to treat them, or we don't even have the effective solutions. So the consortium, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Science, Technology and Innovation, we came together because it's about leadership. When you step forward, we begin to coalesce. And when I look at the discussions and the resolutions, I think we have been activated. So we just need to recognize the scientific assets that we have, and we are doing this. Our government has pillars. We are doing this in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, that together we can do things. Right, Honorable, the other thing which has changed in us is that many times when we look at problems like this, in the African spirit, we don't want to look at things that will make money. We feel like we are benefiting from people's sufferings. However, we agreed that we will not be able to sustain our research and response if we are not able to make products to address these challenges, because we are still going to need to buy products, and we have the problem, then we are drained of money, and in the end, it becomes a very big challenge and problem for us. So Science and Technology and Innovation sponsored this meeting as a seed for us to come together. Right, Honorable, when we come to ask for money from Cabinet, because this is the same people, it is just a matter of time. We do not handle this problem when it's still in that center. One day it will be everywhere. So we would like to, we'll be asking government to support us more. This was a little fund that we had for scientists to meet, but when we saw this, we decided to dedicate it to this. But definitely, people are not understanding what MPOX is. We have not appreciated it. And so, with those many words, we would like to welcome you to address us and close the meeting. Thank you for gracing us. I really appreciate. I personally know that you support the work that we do. And since you have a better political language than me, compliment me with that package of spoken so that we can get resources and solve these kind of problems. Thank you so much, all of you, for discussing, for meeting. We commit to act. Right, Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I want to take this opportunity to welcome everybody. Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Science, Technology and Innovation, representative of the Minister of Health, representatives of the World Health Organization, African CDC country directors, representatives of development partners, representatives of regional health ministries, scientists and researchers from different ministries, institutions, and universities. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. You have intimidated me properly. I'm not easy to intimidate as a politician, but today the scientists have really intimidated me. I even don't know the beauty of it that I have the Prime Minister's written speech. I will not get lost in that. But what I want to say, before I say it, I bring you greetings from His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Prime Minister and Leader of Government Business in the Parliament, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, who wanted to be here but could not make it because it is coinciding with her time in Parliament, what we call the Prime Minister's time. That is the time when the Prime Minister responds to the different issues which we call matters of national importance, but also questions that have been put to the Prime Minister before. So it is this time that she has to stand in Parliament and respond. Now I want to say what I wanted to say before I read her speech. You have really exposed me today that I'm very ignorant about MPOX. By whatever you've displayed, it is something I kept looking until when I covered my eyes not to see anymore. So you can't know where I stopped. Because I also don't know where I stopped. I think when you talk of MPOX, I'm one of those who keep thinking of chicken pox. So now if you compare the knowledge I had of chicken pox with MPOX, just know what level I was. If it was on a Richter scale, where was I? Maybe 0 point something. So that means that you have a lot to do as scientists, for those of you who know, to make us who don't know. Especially we decision makers. It's when we know the magnitude that we are even able to say, let's give. Had I had the basket or the key to the treasury there, and you asked for money, I would have even just given you the key to say, carry what you want, what is enough, to help you find a solution. So I want to take this opportunity to request. My colleague said I will talk politics. Yes, for me, when I left university, I only worked for 3 years. And I joined politics. And I joined politics at the national level after working with the local government. So when it comes to politics, I've been in politics for the last 23 years. So, if you want the message to sink, I'm a teacher by profession. My first degree was in education. Visual. And these days you have brought up, you scientists have brought technology which enhances visual. If there was a way, had I not been representing the Prime Minister, I was going to walk away and go and say, let me stay with my ignorance. I don't want to add on these people's knowledge. So how do you make us know? Let's address strategy. Because the thing is with us, Congo and Uganda, Congo and Kenya, we are trading. We are all moving same places, same tribes, same language, same behavior, same food. How do we manage? I want to request the minister. I will join you to go to the vice president. To go to the vice president. If it means even calling after here or checking on her tomorrow or after here, I'm very ready to give up everything and put in effort. Because that's the contribution I can make to begin with. Let's make sure people in cabinet get to see this visual aid that you have showed here, to appreciate and understand the magnitude of the problem that is before us in Congo, because we are all the same. Like I said, same cultures, same brothers and sisters and whatnot. So that in cabinet, this is showed to the ministers, not to be like the way I was before I came here. Secondly, let's go walk to the Speaker, the leadership of Parliament. Plead with them so that they give us also space and you are able to show this. Even if you put it in, just you summarize it and it is showed maybe within just 5 minutes, the message will sink. Let's also organize beyond you, the scientists, the different ministries where this falls. Because you have been only talking about the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, and the Ministry of Health. When it came to showing the issues, agriculture is also affected. I saw even a chicken. Bambi, with the smaller size, the thing has come for the small chicken. On the head, you can imagine, in the neck, it has even taken the feathers. It's serious. So in addition to the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation, let's bring on, and Health, let's bring on board the Ministry of Agriculture to be part of you, because also their clients are affected. Now, when it comes to the general public, it's a blessing in disguise. I want to say this. In our African setting and African communities, it's the men who are the decision makers in our homes, in our communities, in our clans, in our tribes, those small settings. And in some of the religious institutions, like to the one I belong, the Catholic Church, it is the men who are the leaders. We the women, who yet we are the majority in church, it's the men to lead the celebrations, not us the women. And this thing, from the majority pictures you have showed, the most affected people are the men. And what they treasure most has also been affected. That means if you took out that message to the public and showed them that if you, by the way, you should now package it and say, if you don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, this will affect what you treasure most. Men are going to lead in this campaign. That's why I said it's a blessing in this, guys. It has come for their treasure. So let's use that as a blessing to pass over the message up to household level. That's all that I wanted to say outside the Prime Minister's speech. I welcome everybody on behalf of the Prime Minister of Uganda. The leadership of Uganda has since colonial times emphasized, advocated, and even fought for Pan-Africanism as the pillar for Africa's sustainable growth, development, and ultimate survival. His Excellency, the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has been instrumental in leading initiatives in support of Pan-Africanism. His resilience and steadfast commitment to solving African health problems has been acknowledged and applauded. You all know that the President led the fight against HIV/AIDS and recently COVID-19. Many of you will recall how he led the COVID-19 pandemic response in the country. His iconic leadership was recently recognized at the first International Post-COVID-19 Conference in 2024 in July. The President was key in formation of the African CDC at an ordinary assembly of heads of state and government in 2017. The formation of the African CDC was based on the need for public health initiatives for African member states to strengthen the capacity of their public health institutions to detect, prevent, control, and respond quickly and effectively to disease threats. Our President has always said that local solutions for local problems have potential to improve the health and well-being of our populations. He has led on initiatives that promote homegrown solutions and a secretariat was created within the office of the president to drive such approaches. The Science, Technology and Innovation under the office of the president has led research, development, technology transfer, commercialization of innovations targeting pathogen control and management such as vaccines, diagnostics, therapeutics, and the attendant ecosystems. It is during COVID, this is not written, it's during COVID that Dr. Musenero had to educate us what they call the pathogen economy. And because we understood her and appreciated, that's why more funds were put in research since then. The government salutes the efforts ingrained in the interdisciplinary consortium for epidemic research of bringing African scientists together alongside international partners to find lasting solutions to the emerging problems of MPOX in the region. An outbreak anywhere is a potential outbreak everywhere, and that is why it is critical to detect, report, and respond to outbreaks in a timely manner. You are all aware that MPOX, until recently, was localized in DRC. Now we see regionalized, spread almost to all countries in the region, and Uganda recently recorded cases, but our experts are managing them. As Africans, we need to start looking for solutions to African problems. Not this crazy mentality of ever sitting behind to wait for donations from our partners. Surely we can do something about our own problems. Uganda is a signatory of the international health regulations under the World Health Organization. This mandates countries to share information regarding public health emergencies of epidemic diseases within 24 hours of detection. In 2019, as prescribed by the World Health Assembly, Uganda developed and inaugurated its first national action plan for health security. Following its interim evaluation through the joint external evaluation mechanisms in 2022, Uganda scored 56% average, above most African countries, but way below the mandated 70% required by World Health Organization. The Joint External Evaluation Mechanism evaluates 19 elements across a country's capacity to prevent, detect, and rapidly respond to public health risks, whether naturally occurring or deliberate. Learning from the negative impact of health emergencies on individuals' livelihoods, as well as national economies, it is important that we are better prepared. As such, Uganda is in the process of revising its National Action Plan for Health Security with the idea of attaining the World Health Organization set targets. To do so, however, the country will require evidence as to how best to better predict, detect, and respond to health emergencies. This can only happen through locally led research to inform the strategy. This is where the vision and mission of this symposium becomes relevant to national development. However, taking advantage of the challenges posed by the socio-economic disruptions created by health emergencies to innovate and enterprise homegrown solutions, just like we did in COVID-19, by making and selling locally made sanitizers, masks, personal preventive gear, extra, is one way to preserve and salvage livelihoods. COVID-19 taught us about the isolation that can emerge, of course, of a widespread pandemic with its associated disruptions in global supply chains, exposing the local manufacturing deficits of Africa. This was made worse by the hoarding of the many biomedical measures like vaccines. Economically speaking, though those countries that manufactured vaccines and diagonists made a kill, it's unthinkable the monetary profits reaped by companies like Moderna and Pfizer to date. This underlines why an epidemic response research should also have a clear appreciation of the economic benefits that might accrue. It also emphasizes why African countries must start to invest in research and development for epidemic responses, rather than expect the West to do so for us. This is the only path to shaping a sustainable response to health security threats to any country. In conclusion, our science, research, innovation, and development must strive to bring us together in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, while remaining alive to our ancestral spirit of Ubuntu. The government is committed to supporting initiatives like Interdisciplinary Consortium for Epidemic Research, because we are very convinced initiatives like these will be very impactful in the community. That's the Prime Minister's speech, but I want to raise only one issue which has been disturbing me, and today I get you also as somebody from the office of the Prime Minister. Government has put in money for research, but we have a missing link between we, the consumers, or we who demand for the research or who need the research to inform policy, but also you who need the research or who do the research to inform your solutions to whatever challenges you are faced with in what you do. We don't have a research agenda as Uganda. Now that I'm talking to scientists, let me be specific to you. Because when we talk of research, for us, we may do our political research, we may do our economic research. Now this to do with our life, our health. Government has given money to universities, which universities have health institutions or training institutions. But you, the scientists, and we, the policymakers, who send the money to the universities, where are we meeting for you to bring your research agenda, for us to be able to give it to the different institutions, and then get the results, and have another table to have a discussion, to inform policy on the side of us, the politicians, or the leaders, and you who are offering solutions. Dr. Msenero, there is this gap. We give money to universities. Most times they are the ones deciding on what to research on. We should now come clear, have room, maybe 80% should be the research agenda we give them, but after going through a process on deciding on what we need, then leave them the 20% to decide as universities, because these are institutions of learning. They also interact with people, they interact with the community, and they are training people who are going to be researchers, but at the same time, helping us to find solutions to the problems we have. This is a big gap that I've realized we have as government in Uganda. And Dr. Msenero, since for you a researcher in science, me I'm a researcher in politics. Now how do we make the science, we in politics and the private sector, come together so that we give a research agenda to the different universities, because the universities do research in all what I'm talking about, the disciplines I'm talking about. So it is something that we need and we require. And I also want to urge you, Dr. Msenero, after this, Part of what, when you are bringing the other visual aid as a teacher, I called it visual aid. Let's generate a cabinet paper so that what you talk and what you present will include what the doctor has presented as part of the resolutions that you have made here, so that they are on record and it becomes easy for you to follow. And also sit with the team and discuss. When he was talking of the pre-research fund, then the research fund, all of that, how much is required? Because we are talking about what we don't know. If it was political, I would have already given you a figure. But since you are talking about things that I really failed and stopped in his O level, I don't want to go that area. But I promise I remain committed. But I'm also going to make the Prime Minister get in touch with Dr. Musenero, so that before we go to cabinet, she should have seen what I've seen and heard what I've heard, and be able to lead us as we take on this matter, but we remain committed. So on behalf of Right Honorable Robin Anabanja, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, and the leader of government business in Parliament, I want to declare the Interdisciplinary Consortium for Epidemic Research Symposium on MPOX, with all of the knowledge we've shared, with all of the plans that you have made, leave this place energized with a lot of energy to go and take on this big elephant and save lives. I close this conference.
Another big round of applause for Honorable Minister. It's indeed an honor, and we've benefited from your wisdom, and we shall definitely take the advice, and very soon it will be a very good package that we shall present. Thank you very much. I think it's in order for us to, in 1 or 2 minutes, to give a very good vote of thanks. And may I request Professor Vyachika to come and give a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, MC, for ambushing me to give a vote of thanks. Where do I start from? I'll start by thanking Honorable Dr. Musenero. Thank you very much. Please stand up and give her a big round of applause. Dr. Musenero, we the scientists want to thank you very much. First, for leading us by example. Then secondly, for instructing us on what to do. Thirdly, for finding the money for us to do what you tell us to do. Those of you in the room, you did not see some of us here this morning. We were at another meeting by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development on competitive economy. We learned a lot about economy. We learned a lot about socio-economic transformation. And specifically for your interest, we had a full session dedicated to the pathogen economy, where some members who are here in the room, Brenda Nakazibwe, Professor Chirenga, and many innovators who are receiving funding through the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, presented the products that they have been working on. We had products from diagnostics, therapeutics, we had vaccines, and so on and so forth. It was very impressive. So, Honorable Lumumba, we are responding positively. We as scientists are working very, very hard to contribute to the economy. I will not attempt to mention how much money they said we are going to contribute, because as a medical doctor, I'm sure I'll make mistakes. We don't know this language of money so well. But we have responded positively. Honorable Musenero has also instructed us to stop working in silos. And from this meeting, which is the Interdisciplinary Consortium, you can see that we are working together, not only as scientists in Uganda, but scientists in the region. And therefore, we look forward to the future with a lot of hope that we shall be able to solve many of our problems. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up and give a bigger round of applause to Honorable Lumumba. Who is representing the Prime Minister. So let's give another round of applause to the Prime Minister. Honorable Justin Lumumba, thank you very much for gracing our meeting and accepting to come and close the meeting and accepting to come and listen to us. We are very, very happy that the doctor from DRC actually presented the MPOX and showed the pictures in your presence. And we believe that you're going to be our ambassador. When we say we'd like to get funds to carry out research, to prevent these epidemics, to treat these patients, you will be our ambassador in Parliament at the negotiating table to ensure that we get these funds. Thank you very much, and be sure that we are going to package this information, and the men will actually stand with you in approving the funds to come to us. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the scientists in the room, we want to thank you very much, and we wish you a good evening. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. MC.
Thank you very much, Professor Biachika. Just in case you didn't know, she is the incoming Vice Chancellor, Makerere University of Science and Technology. So we shall have a photo session. Zahra, may I have you close here? And we're going to do it in groups. May I request the heads of, as Zahra comes, may I request the heads of institutions that are represented here? UNCST, Makerere University Lung Institute. Do we have a representative of the Vice Chancellor, Makerere University?